So happy you could join us. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a translation of the Hebrew Bible, the Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9, Shema. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you're to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words which I am ordering you today are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the doorframes of your house and on your gates. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 14. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. We're up to Genesis chapter 18. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moshe and for Israel, his people, how Adonai had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moshe had sent away his wife Zipporah and her 2 sons, Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, had taken them back. The name of one son was Gershom, a foreigner there. For Moshe had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. The name of the other was Eliezer. My God helps, because the God of my father helped me by rescuing me from Pharaoh's sword. Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, brought Moshe's son and wife to him in the desert where he was encamped at the mountain of God. He sent word to Moshe, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons. Moshe went out to meet his father-in-law, prostrated himself and kissed him. Then, after inquiring of each other's welfare, they entered the tent. Moshe told his father-in-law all that Adonai had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships they had suffered while traveling, and how Adonai had rescued them. Jethro rejoiced over all the good that Adonai had done for Israel by rescuing them from the Egyptians. Jethro said, Blessed be Adonai, who has rescued you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh, who has rescued the people from the harsh hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that Adonai is greater than all other gods, because he rescued those who were treated so arrogantly. Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the leaders of Israel to share the meal before God with Moshe's father-in-law. The following day, Moshe sat to settle disputes for the people, while the people stood around Moshe from morning till evening. When Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he was doing to the people, he said, What is this that you are doing to the people? Why do you sit there alone, with all the people standing around you from morning till evening? Moshe answered his father-in-law, It is because the people come to me seeking God's guidance. Whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me. I judge between one person and another, and I explain to them God's laws and teachings. Moshe's father-in-law said to him, What you are doing is not good. You will certainly wear yourself out, and not only yourself, but these people here with you as well. It's too much for you. You cannot do it alone by yourself. So listen now to what I have to say. I will give you some advice, and God will be with you. You should represent the people before God, and you should bring their cases to God. You should also teach them the laws and the teachings, and show them how to live their lives and what work they should do. But you should choose from among all the people competent men who are God-fearing, honest, and incorruptible to be their leaders, in charge of thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. Normally, they will settle the people's disputes. They should bring you the difficult cases, but ordinary matters they should decide themselves. In this way, they will make it easier for you and share the load with you. If you do this, and God is directing you to do it, you will be able to endure, and all these people too will arrive at their destination peacefully. Moshe paid attention to his father-in-law's counsel and did everything he said. Moshe chose competent men from all Israel and made them heads over the people, in charge of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. As a general rule, they settled the people's disputes. The difficult cases they brought to Moshe, but every simple matter they decided themselves. Then Moshe let his father-in-law leave, and he went off to his own country. Joshua chapter 18. The entire community of the people of Israel assembled themselves together at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there, after the land had been subdued before them. There still remained among the people of Israel 7 tribes that had not yet received their inheritance. Joshua said to the people of Israel, "How long will you delay going in to take possession of the land which Adonai, the God of your ancestors, has given you? Appoint 3 men for each tribe. I will commission them, and they are to set out, go through the land, and describe it according to their inheritance. They are to come back to me. They are to divide it into 7 portions, with Judah remaining in its territory to the south, and the house of Joseph in their territory to the north. You will describe 7 portions of land, and bring the descriptions here to me. Then I will cast lots for you here before Adonai our God. But the Levim have no share with you, because the office of Cohen to Adonai is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuben and the half-tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan to the east, which Moshe, the servant of Adonai, gave to them." So the men got up and went. Joshua gave them this commission as they left to describe the land. "Go, walk through the land and describe it. Then come back to me, and I will cast lots for you here before Adonai in Shiloh." The men went and passed through the land, surveying it by cities, dividing it into 7 regions, and writing the results on a scroll. Then they came to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before Adonai, and there Joshua divided the land among the people of Israel according to their regions. The lot for the tribe of the descendants of Benjamin came up according to their families. The border of their territories chosen by lot was between the descendants of Judah and the descendants of Joseph. On the north, their border began at the Jordan, went up along Jericho on the north, continued up through the hills westward, and arrived at the Beit Aven desert. From there, the border passed on to Luz, to the south side of Luz, that is Beit El. Then the border went down to Atrat Adar by the hill on the south side of Lower Beit Horon. The border was delineated as turning at the western corner and heading southward from the hill located in front of Beit Horon on the south, and it ended at Kiryat Baal, that is Kiryat Jearim, a city belonging to the descendants of Judah. That was the west side. On the south side, the border extended westward from the most distant part of Kiryat Jearim, going out to the source of the Nephtoach spring. Then the border went down to the farthest part of the hill located in front of the Ben Hinnom Valley, north of the Rephaim Valley, south of the Jebusite, and continued down to Ein Rogel, where it was drawn to the north. Then it went on to Ein Shemesh, continued to Gelilat, which is across from Ma'ale Adumim, went down to the stone of Boran, the son of Reuben, passed alongside the Arava, heading north, and went down to the Arava. Then the border passed alongside Beit Hogla, heading north, and the border ended at the north bay of the Dead Sea, at the south end of the Jordan. This was the south border. The Jordan was to be its border on the east side. This was the inheritance of the descendants of Benjamin, defined by its surrounding borders according to their families. The cities of the tribe of the descendants of Benjamin, according to their families, were Jericho, Beit Hogla, Emek Kitzitz, Beit Arava, Tzidmarayim, Beit El, Avim Parah, Ophrah, Kafar Hamanah, Avni, and Giva. 12 cities together with their villages. Givan, Ramah, Be'erot, Metzpe, Kifra, Motza, Rechem, Jerpe'el, Tar-Allah, Sila, Elef, Jevusi, that is Jerusalem, Giva, and Kiryat, 14 cities together with their villages. This is the inheritance of the descendants of Benjamin according to their families. Psalms chapter 18. By David, the servant of Adonai, who addressed the words of the song to Adonai on the day when Adonai delivered him from the power of all his enemies, including the power of Shaul. I love you, Adonai, my strength. Adonai is my rock, my fortress and deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I find shelter, my shield, the power that saves me, my stronghold. I call on Adonai, who is worthy of praise, and I am saved from my enemies. For the cords of death surround me, the floods of Belial terrified me, the ropes of Sheol were wrapped around me, the snares of death lay there before me. In my distress I called to Adonai, I cried out to my God. Out of his temple he heard my voice, my cry reached his ears. Then the earth quaked and shook, the foundations of the mountains trembled. They were shaken because he was angry. Smoke arose in his nostrils. Out of his mouth came devouring fire. Sparks blazed forth from him. He lowered heaven and came down with thick darkness under his feet. He rode on the cherub. He flew, swooping down on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his hiding place, his canopy thick clouds dark with water. From the brightness before him there broke through the thick clouds hailstones and fiery coals. Adonai also thundered in heaven. Ha Elyon sounded his voice, hailstones and fiery coals. He sent out arrows and scattered them, shot out lightning and rotted them. The channels of water appeared. The foundations of the world were exposed at your rebuke, Adonai. At the blast of breath from your nostrils. He went from on high. He took me and pulled me out of deep water. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from those who hated me, for they were stronger than I. They came against me on my day of disaster, but Adonai was my support. He brought me out to an open place. He rescued me because he took pleasure in me. Adonai rewarded me for my uprightness. He repaid me because my hands were clean. For I have kept the ways of Adonai. I have not done evil by leaving my God, for all his rulings were before me. I did not distance his regulations from me. I was pure-hearted with him and kept myself from sin. Hence Adonai repaid me for my uprightness, according to the purity of my hands in his view. With the merciful, you are merciful. With a man who is sincere, you are sincere. With the pure, you are pure. But with the crooked, you are cunning. People afflicted you save, but the haughty eyes you humble. For you, Adonai, light my lamp. Adonai, my God, lights up my darkness. With you I can run through a whole troop of men. With my God I can leap a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of Adonai has been tested by fire. He shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God but Adonai? Who is a rock but our God? It is God who girds me with his strength. He makes my way go straight. He makes me swift, sure-footed as a deer, and enables me to stand on high places. He trains my hands for war until my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You give me your shield, which is salvation. Your right hand holds me up. Your humility makes me great. You lengthen the steps I can take, yet my ankles do not turn. I pursued my enemies and overtook them without turning back until they were destroyed. I crushed them so that they can't get up. They have fallen under my feet. For you braced me with strength for the battle and bent down my adversaries beneath me. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight, and I destroyed those who hated me. They cried out, but there was no one to help. Even to Adonai, but he didn't answer. I pulverized them like dust in the wind, threw them out like mud in the streets. You also freed me from the quarrels of my people. You made me head of the nations. A people I did not know now serve me. The moment they hear of me, they obey me. Foreigners come cringing to me. Foreigners lose heart as they come trembling from their fortresses. Adonai is alive. Blessed is my rock. Exalted be the God of my salvation, the God who avenges me and subdues people under me. He delivers me from my enemies. You lift me high above my enemies. You rescue me from violent men. So I give thanks to you, Adonai, among the nations. I sing praises to your name. Great salvation he gives to his king. He displays grace to his anointed, to David and his descendants forever. Matthew chapter 18. At that moment, the Talmudim came to Joshua and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child to him, stood him among them, and said, "Yes, I tell you that unless you change and become like little children, you won't even enter the kingdom of heaven. So the greatest in the kingdom is whoever makes himself as humble as this child. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever ensnares one of these little ones who trusts me, I would be better for him to have a millstone hung around his neck and be drowned in the open sea. Woe to the world because of snares, for there must be snares, but woe to the person who sets the snare. So if your hand or foot becomes a snare for you, cut it off and throw it away. Better that you should be maimed or crippled and obtain eternal life than keep both hands or both feet and be thrown into everlasting fire. And if your eye is a snare for you, gouge it out and fling it away. Better that you should be one-eyed and obtain eternal life than keep both eyes and be thrown into the fire of Gehinnom. See that you never despise one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven are continually seeing the face of my Father in heaven. What is your opinion? What will somebody do who has 100 sheep and one of them wanders away? Won't he leave the 99 on the hillside and go off to find the stray? And if he happens to find it, yes, I tell you, he is happier over it than over the 99 that never strayed. Thus your Father in heaven does not want even one of these little ones to be lost. Moreover, if your brother commits a sin against you, go and show him his fault, but privately, just between the two of you. If he listens to you, you have won back your brother. If he doesn't listen, take one or two others with you so that every accusation can be supported by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to hear them, tell the congregation, and if he refuses to listen even to the congregation, treat him as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Yes, I tell you people that whatever you prohibit on earth will be prohibited in heaven, and whatever you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. To repeat, I tell you that if 2 of you here on earth agree about anything people ask, it will be for them from my Father in heaven. For wherever 2 or 3 are assembled in my name, I am there with them. Then Kepha, Peter, came up and said to him, Rabbi, how often can my brother sin against me, and I have to forgive him? As many as 7 times? No, not 7 times, answered Joshua, but 70 times 7. Because of this, the kingdom of heaven may be compared with a king who decided to settle accounts with his disputes. Right away, they brought forward a man who owed him many millions, and since he couldn't pay, his master ordered that he, his wife, his children, and all his possessions be sold to pay the debt. But the servant fell down before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. So out of pity for him, the master let him go and forgave the debt. But as that servant was leaving, he came upon one of his fellow servants who owed him some tiny sum. He grabbed him and began to choke him, crying, "Pay back what you owe me." His fellow servant fell before him and begged, "Be patient with me and I will pay you back." But he refused. Instead, he had him thrown in jail until he should repay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were extremely distressed, and they went and told their master everything that had taken place. Then the master summoned his servant and said, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt just because you begged me to do it. Shouldn't you have had pity on your fellow servant just as I had pity on you?" And in anger his master turned him over to the jailers for punishment until he paid back everything he owned. This is how my heavenly Father will treat you unless you each forgive your brother from your hearts. Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine on you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you his shalom. Thank you again for joining us. Until we meet again, shalom.